Ugh. Heath Harrison finally loosens his constricted grip on a small girl in his arms, ignoring her weak little coughs as she stumbles away. We'll just stop here today. He'll have more fun with her tomorrow. For good measure, he purposely spills his tea on the floor just to see the maid's flustered expression as she rushes to clean it up. After having teased her slightly, Harrison lounges in on his chair. There's a nagging feeling at the back of his mind. Something wrong is happening, but he doesn't know what it is. Was there a chore he needed to do for crazy Director Faraday that he's forgotten about? Did he forget about his daily reminder to the guards to knock on his door before entering? Did he forget to take the trash? The whole series of possibilities were floating through his mind. Finally, he sits back and relaxes. It's probably nothing. The young girl notices his slight worry and peers at him, quizzically. Is there something wrong, master? Why do you think something is wrong? You look worried, master. You worry too much. With that, he moves over to the young maid and begins stroking her hair. Harrison's guards are surprisingly easy to handle. Still, Goldstein makes sure to knock them out instead of killing them. Robert Goldstein considers himself a man of morals, unlike Harrison. He manages to sneak through the manor as discreetly as possible. He is here for Heath Harrison's head, and Heath Harrison's head only. With that said, he does not want to cause more casualties than necessary. He has left Henry outside the mansion to await his return. His orders to Harry were simple. If Goldstein doesn't return by the appointed time, Henry is to call for reinforcements from Director Faraday. Finally, he sees the door to Harrison's room and brutally kicks it down. Ha! Huh? Just as Goldstein expected, he managed to take Heath Harrison completely by surprise. There he is lounging on a plush armchair, a shocked young maiden in his arms. Heath Harrison pushes her off and jumps upright immediately, horrified. You! This is checkmate. With all those years of humiliation and hatred stirring inside him, Goldstein has no problem pointing a pistol at Harrison, ready to kill. Wait, calm down. I can explain. He pulls the trigger. The moment Goldstein pulled the trigger, Heath Harrison knew he was going to die. His mind wouldn't accept it, yet his body did. That was why he couldn't move. Yet, he is still alive. Why? Who? Heath Harrison knows that it couldn't have been himself. Goldstein's shocked expression also reveals that it wasn't him. Then, who was it? Wait. There was a third person in the room, wasn't there? You. What? Neither man understands what is going on. The shy young maiden is standing upright, an unmistakable smirk on her face. In her hand is a knife. Heath Harrison can't accept the sight standing before his eyes. She was his maid, a servant, whose job it is to cower in fear and cook and clean. Yet now? No. More importantly, there is another pressing question. Did she just slice a bullet in half? Definitely not. There's no way something like that can happen. bullet moves at the speed of more than 900 miles an hour. It would be utterly impossible for any human being, no matter how skilled, to cut that speed with normal eyes, let alone use a simple knife to block it. Yes, indeed, it is impossible. With due horror, Heath Harrison realizes that the knife is in truth merely for show. Even without the knife, she could have stopped the bullet just as easily. The bullet has completely disintegrated without a single trace. Goldstein can't believe his eyes. Of course, he had noticed the young maid when he entered the room, but had merely disregarded her as a simple domestic servant who posed no threat. Yet, what lies before his eyes right now betrays his expectations completely. Messily cut pale hair that looks utterly unsuitable on a dignified housekeeper, a childish face with a maddened grin and those scarlet eyes, and a gleaming knife, all surrounded by a dull, threatening aura. This is the first time I've tried using a simple knife to do this. It's a bit less flexible than with a sword, don't you think? The girl's question isn't directed to anyone in particular. Both men remain frozen in disbelief. The strange aura of dread emitting from the previously shy and easily flustered young girl is way too much to bear. Hey, aren't you going to say something? Aren't you going to shoot? The taunt in the girl's voice echoes through the room, completely erasing the meekness of her earlier behavior. Goldstein wants to say something, but his voice is stuck in his throat. In the end, he only manages one line. I don't hurt women. The room freezes again with cold, chilling silence. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, the silence is broken with cold, childish laughter. Ha! Ha 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 ha! I suppose I will make the first move then. She charges. Everything, her pace, her speed, her skill, speaks to Goldstein with an astonishing amount of heart and experience. Heath Harrison can only watch, his body frozen, his mouth agape. Robert Goldstein, however, is quick to realize that this means nothing. The overconfident girl has managed to take him by surprise earlier. However, she now no longer has that precious chance to succeed, thanks to her gloating. Has a gun, while she is only armed with a knife that hardly even looks suitable for combat purpose. It is clear who has the upper hand. Robert Goldstein doesn't hurt women, and this is only a child. However, desperate times calls for desperate measures. He raises his pistol with the intention to kill. Huh? The girl didn't even dodge. Yet the bullets just won't hit the knife she's gripping. How? The bullets... Stabbing pain shoots through his abdomen, followed by a duller, but even more intense agony. He knows that he has been stabbed, but what is this other feeling? He looks down. To his utter horror, he realizes the flesh around his stab wound is turning black. Hey, Mr. Goldstein, do you want to hear a riddle? What is Mozart doing in his grave? Stop this! What do you think you're doing? How? Why? The answer is decomposing. Get it? He's a composer who later decomposes. It's my favorite joke. I'll leave your master alone So please stop this. I can't hear you. Stop what? What do you want me to stop doing? You need to be clear, you know, or I won't understand. You're an adult, aren't you? Aren't adults supposed to know how to be clear and concise when asking for what they want? Yeah. That's a nasty sound. Convinced that the knife is the cause of this horrible torment, Goldstein grips the hilt and pulls it out. However, it doesn't stop. His blood turns black and congeals, and his flesh continues to rot. The putrid stench seeps through the room. Even Heath Pearson has to cover his nose. Still unable to move out of his current position in fear. Eventually, despite his screaming and his pleading, Goldstein's entire body decays away, the foul liquid seeping into the carpets. When he is sure that his earlier attacker is as dead as can be, Heath Pearson stands up, still shaking. Slowly, he approaches his maid. Now that he thinks about it, he doesn't really know her, does he? Just found her on the streets one day and decided to take her in. Still, there's one thing he knows. That is the fact that this girl protected him from the crazed gunman. I owe you my life, show. But who? What exactly are you? What did you do to him? Heath's throat goes dry. He's seen this ability somewhere a long time ago. That ability, it's just like, hey, old bastard. Her voice is mischievous and mocking. Pearson feels a sudden urge to slap the kid for addressing him this rudely, but he resists. He's seen what she could do and is afraid, and he is deathly afraid. He wants nothing more than to convince himself that this is all just a bad dream. You owe me your life, you said. Yes. Then I suppose it's okay for me to collect your debt now? Huh? Slowly curled up smirk forms on her features. What do you think Mozart is doing in his grave, master? Still calm and collected as ever, the young girl slips out of her ludicrously frilly made uniform, changes into a more suitable outfit which she has prepared in the closet a day in advance. Without care for the two dead men in the room, the girl then opens the window and slides down the drainage pipe, reaching the ground unharmed. Her job here is done. There's no need to return here anymore. Finally. That was a pain in the ass. Even after putrefying two men to death and leaving their bodies in the most disgusting looking state of decomposition ever, Sho Rylan feels neither regret nor guilt. She tilts her head and surveys the mansion one last time. It's as silent as ever, as always, not a soul to be seen. What is it now? The moment Henry spots the strange young girl climb down the window of Heath Pearson's room, he knows that something is off. Quickly takes a step back and pulls out his phone, preparing to call for reinforcements. Hey, mister. Your master is already dead. You could save yourself the trouble. Sho tilts her head mockingly before she continues. In fact, if you perform an autopsy on the body, the results will show that he's been dead for at least a month now. Henry barely manages to stop himself from flying into a frenzy. He knows better than to reply to an obvious threat like this. Immediately, he pulls out his gun and trains it on the girl. Back up! Do you hear me? That will not be necessary. We are already here. Eric Faraday, thank God you've come. Listen, I think Mr. Goldstein's in some kind of trouble. We need your help. Okay. The Goldsteins were always too trusting. With that, Eric Faraday, son of director Gregory Faraday, calmly pockets his revolver. Good job there, Miss Riley. Joe merely nods silently as Eric Faraday gestures for her to enter one of his waiting cars. You were enjoying yourself a bit too much. I told you to save the evil gloating for until after I appeared. And have you hogged all the spotlight? Sure. As expected. Anyway, are you sure he's dead? Even if he isn't, the doctors who will be rushing to the scene soon enough will take care of that. Anyway, I can't believe you had the audacity to give me a mission where I had to endure Heath's disgustingly perverted antics for such a long time. Though I suppose he was kind of afraid of me, as he never tried to go too far. But you better not come up with something like this ever again. Heh. This little show giving me orders now. Aren't you worried that I will sack you and hand you over to the police for your rightful punishment? I don't believe you would dare to do that, old man. Oh, why not? I know that a year ago, that incompetent excuse of a government believed me when I said you were already dead. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they heard that the monster responsible for all those heinous crimes was finally gone, I'm sure. However, if I wish, I could easily tell the public the creature who committed those mass murders over a year ago was not completely destroyed after all. We of the Wilshire Corporation have found it and will destroy it for its atrocious crimes. You don't want that, do you? Would you really want to lose my sword? Because I said a few words to hurt your pride, old man? Insolent child. This man, Eric Faraday, is the 21-year-old son of the director. Set director is none other than the leader of the Wilshire Corporation, a powerful company with quite a hold on the weak doormat of a government in this godforsaken city. Granted, he is the director himself, but he might as well be, for he does many things for the country in his father's name. The director of himself said to be rather reclusive. In recent years he has been leaving much of the dirty work to his brilliant son, while nobody actually knows what he himself is doing right now. Aren't you curious about why I ordered for Heath Pearson's death? I suppose so. Well, as you know, the purpose of this mission was to get rid of both the Pearson and Goldstein families. The plan was to make it seem like they killed each other off. I suppose the mission was a success. I would have preferred for you to have killed those two in a more human way. People are bound to get suspicious when they find third-degree rotting bodies of people who have already passed only away a second ago, you know. I don't think I asked you to say what I already know. Also, what the heck is the third-degree rotting? You always be mixing decomposition up with burns, idiot. Why did you petrify your own tongue? I didn't major in freaking biology. Anyway, you said, I suppose so, and thus you are now obliged to listen to my monologue. There are many things in life I regret, and this is one of them. Anyway, the Goldstein family has always been suspicious of us. They've always been hostile as well. But why the Pearson family, I wonder? There's no need to say I wonder when you already know. Shush. The Pearson family has always been loyal to us after all. And thus, finally, you are getting somewhere. We just needed to get rid of them because they were plotting against us. The end. That was the only sentence you needed to say, you know. Seriously. I knew that Heath Pearson was planning to overthrow my father and me, and to take over Wilshire for himself. That sly, conniving asshole. Thank goodness not many people know about those plans, or they will suspect us for sure. Right, Show Rylan? I should have just said no earlier. As incompetent as those morons from the police force are, I'm sure even they will suspect something is amiss when they find those bodies. You've just broadcasted to the entire nation that you're still alive, running and killing. Meh. I can't be found out so easily. The public doesn't even know that I'm a human being, just like them. They think I'm some sort of runaway monster, giant maggot or something. Am I right? I suppose then your line of thinking would be, no way in hell would they find that out Show Riley, Eric Faraday's loyal assistant, could actually be the same monster that was behind those incidents. I'm as safe as can be. Am I correct? You shouldn't be too calm. I'm sure one or two people might have spotted you when you were on your rampage. Cannot protect you if you're discovered, you know. That happens. I'll just have to be a good citizen of this nation. Have the police send you to the long drop. I'll worry about that when it actually happens. Anyway, I suppose you'll return my sword to me now. Don't make it sound like I took it from you by force, Miss Show. I mean, I cannot let you carry it around when doing spy work. It is rather counterproductive. Daggers aren't as easy to use. They have a smaller surface area after all. I thought having a smaller surface area makes it easier for you to concentrate your power. Sword is good enough for that. Anyway, you look kinda stupid holding one, so I'll just take it back and save you the embarrassment. See, I'm so nice and thoughtful. Eric shrugs off the comment and passes the sheathed light rapier to the young girl, who immediately snatches it protectively into her grasp, admiring the hilt as if she hasn't seen it in 10 years. Heh, you are a frightening child, Show. Using just a sword, you can defeat a gunman. Your power is concentrated enough that the moment anything even approaches near your blade, it decomposes immediately. With that, you can even cause a flying bullet to disintegrate into dust. How fearsome are you? Stop being so melodramatic and explaining things I already know. Anything you say, m'lady. Anyway, I'm perfectly capable of stopping a bullet even without a weapon. I'm sure you know that, right? Don't tell me you always thought I've been trying to aim at the bullets with my sword. I don't have time and effort to waste on nonsense like that. Yes, alright, you're almighty. So, why did you do that? Do what? You know what I mean? Why did you see the need to protect Pete Pearson only to kill him a few minutes later? Why, huh? The last time you went to a fast food joint. Did the pretty waitress behind the counter give you a chili or ketchup with your fries? What the hell? Don't go to fast food joints. What does that have to do with the question? Does it piss you off when she keeps saying chili or ketchup? What's wrong with having both? As if it'll kill them to just let us have both sauces, huh? I've learnt my lesson. I'm not going to ask you a question from now on hoping for an answer. That didn't make any sense what she just said. Why not have both? It's hardly fair to force a poor girl to choose between killing two men, right? After all, the more the merrier. If I had not stepped in, Robert Goldstein would have killed Heath Pearson before I could. And then it would be boring. I wouldn't have gotten to see him cower in fear. Alright. I didn't know you hated Heath Pearson that much. I don't. Maybe because it was fun. Is that enough of a reason for you? I see, you are truly a frightening child, Joe Riley. Well, I personally don't enjoy the smell of decaying flesh that much, but I am not one to question your tastes. That's too bad. I was considering inviting you to join me. I shall politely decline. Never been to a fast food joint, never learned how to use a sword properly, never seen someone rot to death. A pity, Eric. You are missing out on life. Missing so much. You suck. Eric scoffs and turns to the driver. You're my friend here, Richard. I won't be held liable if you get traumatized listening to her chatter. Especially the part about fast food. With that, the pair sits silently at the back of the driving car. The car turns into a deserted alleyway.